Riche Ignite Show. I am super happy to have you here today. So come on in and get in where you fit in, because I've always got room right around my table for you, your friends, and your frenemies. So go ahead, like, share, start a watch party, run and tell somebody that Lotus Riche Ignites is hot on the box. I'm going to encourage you, grab your notebook and grab your pen, because I always say note takers are money makers and note takers are change makers. Somebody you know. Let's go, y'all. Woo! All right. Tonight, I got her by my side. Oh yeah. She's coming on in. We're talking about feelings. Feeling violated without being touched. Do you know someone, or maybe you felt violated without someone even laying a finger on you? Why? Because of the way they talk to you, or maybe if they rubbed up too close to you, or they were in your proxemics and you felt a little bit uncomfortable. Well, tonight, I have a fabulous guest that's with me tonight, and she is going to rock your socks off. So it's time for you to go ahead and do what you do. Welcome people in. I say all the time, come on in, and get in where you're fitting, because I've always got room right around my table for you to talk about topics that people might not want to talk about. And we're going to talk about them tonight. So with that being said, I would love for you to go ahead and take a moment in your time right now to go ahead and get your cup, because I know some of you are saying, okay, Lolo, we saw before you came on the show, you showed us the wonderful, delicious fish that you had. Now we want to know what's in your cup, what you're sipping on. So I'll share with you what I'm sipping on if you share with me what you're sipping on. I am sipping on some good old water, so make sure you get your nice cup and sip too. Ooh, that's some great stuff. So as you come in tonight, I would love if you would please share where you're coming in from, and tag a friend, because this discussion is going to be amazingly powerful. You don't want to miss this discussion. You don't want someone that you care about to miss this discussion either. And I'm going to tell you why. The plain and simple fact is that people all around the world really have been witness to what we're talking about tonight. And so because people have been a witness to what we're talking about tonight, you want to make sure that you are here with us and you are part of the conversation, because let's face it, if you don't talk about it, if we don't talk about it, who's going to talk about it? I don't know. Who's going to talk about it? Are you going to just continue to let this topic just skirt on by without even going there? Well, we're not. And tonight, I want you to welcome my amazing guest. She's coming in all the way from Texas. She's an author. She's a global diversity ambassador. She's a humanitarian. She's a philanthropist. But most importantly, she's igniting and taking flight in every area of her life. And she is going to help you do the same tonight. So with no further ado, I'm going backstage and I'm going to bring her up to you. But before I do that, I want you to give her some L's. Put some L's in the comment block below. Show the sister some love before she ever even comes to the platform. And I'll give you and friends and tag somebody. Let us know who you're tagging. You got 30 seconds before we get hot on the box. We'll be right back. It's time for you to tag. Go ahead and brag on the Lotus Riche Ignite Show. Come on in and get in where you fit in, because I've got Dr. Sabeeta Singh on the box tonight, and we want you to treat her right. So come on in and tag a friend. All right. That's right. I said it. And so because I said it, it is what it is. And you going to get in where you fit in, and we going to bring her on in. So with no further ado, I want to welcome you to the show. I want to say to you, make sure that you share this broadcast with someone else that needs to hear this, that knows beyond knowing, and you know beyond knowing that someone else needs to hear this besides you. Okay, so come on in and get in where you fit in, and we will start the show in one moment. Hey, and welcome back to the Lotus Riche Night Show. I am super happy to have you here today. So come on in, and get in where you fit in, because I've always got room right around my table for you, your friends, and your frenemies. So go ahead, like, share, start a watch party, run and tell somebody that Lotus Riche Ignites is hot on the box. I'm going to encourage you, grab your notebook and grab your pen, because I always say note takers are money makers and note takers are change makers. Welcome, my girl, my friend, Dr. Sabeeta says to the show. Let's go, y'all. Woo! Give us some love. Come on, get it where you fit in. Here, Lotus Riche Ignite Show. Woo, woo! Hello.
Hello, Lotus. How are you?
How are you doing? I'm doing magnificent. If I was any better, there'd be two of me telling two of you, whoop whoop, the same thing. So
That is good.
happy that you are here. I know you were trying to get home through the traffic, so you made it. You made it safe. So thank God for that. And you are with us tonight. So I've shared a little bit about you, who you are, and what you do. But I really would love if you would share more with us about who you are and what you do.
Absolutely. So, first of all, let me apologize to the listeners for being a bit late. I got stuck in Houston traffic, so my apologies. Um, so a little bit about me. You can tell from my accent that I'm a Caribbean girl. So I was born in an island called Trinidad and Tobago. I've had the privilege of living across multiple continents in the world in the last 20 years. I'm a mother of two teenage boys, well, young adults actually. Um, I'm a philanthropist, like Lotus said. I do a lot of work out in Africa and India and the Caribbean as well. I believe it's so important when you're in a position of privilege that that privilege comes with power, and that power gives you a sense of responsibility. So it is so important to give back and contribute to helping others that are coming along the way. And for me, it's not just about my professional accomplishments. It's also about touching lives and transforming lives, because there are so many less fortunate people than us in the world out there. And, if you can touch one life at a time, you're making a difference. It is so important to understand that it does not have to be a very huge effort. Giving starts with just one act. And, at Lotus, you're touching so many lives with your show. I try to join as often as I can, and you're doing amazing work. You're just spreading so many messages. I love your food. You almost make me feel hungry. You're an amazing cook. So, yeah, I just want to say that that's a little bit about me. I'm not sure what else you shared with them, but please feel free to jump in and ask me anything else.
All right, fantastic. So look, folks, she's being look, this lady is like off the chain dynamic. She's been to the show before. She came, she saw, she blew up the stage, and she's back again. And I am so happy to have her here, because every time she comes, she brings nothing but value and love to the world and for the world. So I'm super happy to have you back on the show again, because God only knows just how much we need you here. And you've got an amazing son too. So we're going to share some stuff about your son later on during the show. But for the most part, folks, you are going to have a great time. So please, when you come in, go ahead, like, share, start a watch party, like, share, start a watch party, and go ahead and tag somebody. And when they come in, you tell them, come on in and share with a friend. And so we always do double duty. So what we're going to do before we get hot, 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 and make that seat hot, 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 we're going to go ahead and take our phones too and share and ask you to share too. We'll be right back. It's time to share. You see that she was here in January, and now Dr. Sabeeta Singh is back with us, and it's about to get hot. Let's go. Tag a friend and come on in. Woo! All right, all right. Yeah. See, she was here with us before, and she rocked the house, and she's gonna rock the house tonight. So as you come in, we see you. Hi there, Phyllis from North Carolina. Oh, VA in the house. VA in the house. Go ahead. All right, Angie from DC, we happy to have you here, and we see the rest of y'all streaming in. So come on and stream in. And so all I always say is get your notepad and get your pen and come on in. Why? Because note takers are money makers, and note takers are change makers. So with no further ado, we're going to jump right into our topic at hand tonight. What we're talking about is feeling violated without being touched.
Yep.
Feeling violated without being touched. A lot of us have felt violated and not been touched. And so I brought an expert with people. You sit on so many boards all around the world. You work with both men and women. And tonight, you're going to share some sizzling secret sauce with us tonight on this topic. So I'm going to put her right in the hot seat. If y'all ready for me to put her in a hot seat, put an H and an S in the comment block below, because here we go. The first question I want to ask you after I say this, thank you again for coming to the show. The seat is about to get hot. So I hope you have your family. Okay, so let's address the feminist perspective of objectification. And please tell us what objectification is.
Absolutely. So before I jump into that, I just want to tell the audience, if you see me, I'm not in a hot seat, but I'm actually laying on my bed. I just got in from work and I'm due for surgery tomorrow. So I'm resting my feet because I'm going to have a back procedure done. So this is my hot seat, but I'm here with you guys. I'm committed and I'm 100% on board. So Lotus started talking about feeling violated without being touched. And before I get into the feminist perspective on objectification and what is objectification, I want to address something, and I call it elephant in the room.
Mhm.
Far too often, women think you must be touched to be violated. But I'm here to say no, you do not have to be touched. Being violated is not only a physical act. So we need to change our perception on what objectification is, what violation is, and how we see this. And the topic for today is linked to a book that will be coming out soon, and I have a secret sauce on that book. Not going to disclose the secret sauce unless the secret sauce is ready to pour. But I want to tell you a little bit about the book before we go into addressing the feminist perspective on objectification. So, for many years, women have been told what they're supposed to do, how they're supposed to behave. We've just been passed on a bunch of traditions that we've just been complying to.
Mhm.
And my book, well, our book, because it's a joint effort,
Yes.
our
Go
book is
ahead.
going
Go
to
ahead. Throw it out there.
our book is going to, talk specifically to women who believe that they deserve as much space at the table as men do.
Yes.
It's about teaching you how to lean in. It's about teaching you how to sit at the table. And it's about teaching you to never leave before you leave. And it's really important to understand how that works. For many of the women that will be reading the book, we have a lot to be thankful for today. We do
Yes.
not live in the same world that our mothers and grandmothers did, a world where career choices for women were limited, or one where our civic rights were compromised. We live in a world where many of us are entitled, where we can chart our course. However, we live in a very undivided world because, in the same world where we have successful women, there are women that do not have the same rights because they're limited. We live in a world where women systematically underestimate their own abilities and they end up settling for far less than they are worth. Women often think they get a lucky break, and when they do make it, it's because they do not understand that their own success is tied to their own struggle and competency. They think they're lucky, but maybe they earn that space at the table. So I think we need to relook our perspective on how we view our circumstances. I started by telling you all I'm a Caribbean woman. I am a Caribbean woman, and I own my success. Claim my space in this world. I recognize that I have a social responsibility to leave this world a better place for my children and for their children who come after them. When you read the chapters of the book, you will be able to walk the path that so many women before you have taken. It's a rugged and uncertain path, but as the chapters unfold, you begin to see how you can relate to some of those incidents that you may have overlooked. It is the hope of this book that your mind opens and you become agents of change in creating a more undivided and equal world where women can earn and keep their seat at the table and make space for other women to come. The title of the book is called Feeling Violated Without Being Touched. And if you were to go onto a Google search bar and type in feeling violated without being touched, you come up with a vast range of search options that directs you to sexual harassment or abuse. And the funny thing is, you can be violated without being touched. So the thought of abuse is always tied to a physical behavior or outcome. And it's not necessarily that. Uh, you know, and when we talk about this, you start to wonder, how am I being violated? What are the ways I can be violated? And in the book, you go through a number of examples, and some of them is a lot of real life case scenarios. I particularly talk about one that I had experienced not too long ago, and that is the one that prompted me to come together with women that are like minded to come up with this book. So I'm not going to talk too much about the book because I want you all to really, open your appetite. But I'll go back to what Lotus asked me about objectification, the feminist perspective. So objectification is a notion that is central to feminist theory. It is defined as seeing or treating a person, usually a woman, as an object. Far too often, women are seen as objects. And there are a number of studies and scholastic papers of research written on this. The way women are objectified, they are seen as instruments where they are assigned to appear like a tool, okay? Where women are denied autonomy. Their powers or decision making powers are limited because maybe they're categorized as weak. There is also inertness or people making women feel they're not good enough. Then we talk about violability, where your boundaries are no longer your boundaries. Okay, women are seen as property, so the subject of ownership is now an object, and this is very very strong in male dominated cultures. Women are denied subjectivity, where no acknowledgement of their feelings are given. Women are reduced to what they look like physically, their body image, and that's where the sexual orientation comes in. And also where women are silenced, where they have no voice. So when we think about how women are objectified, we think about seeing women in those categories. Women, and there's two sides to this coin, and I think it's important to bring this to the fore. The norms of feminine appearance. A woman is supposed to be beautiful. A woman is supposed to be sexy. We see a lot of bullying and fat shaming, and people are women in particular are always so conscious about their appearance. For example, before I jumped on the show, I'd rushed out of traffic. I told Lotus, "Let me go fix my face," right? So again, it is what society expects of us. What do we look like? What are we supposed to look like? And this puts women under a lot of pressure. I can't tell you how many times I had to look twice in the mirror to say, okay, I'm going to this meeting. Who's going to be there? Am I dressed appropriately? And I actually question myself. One, if I'm one of the few women in the room, I want to be dressed appropriately and not misleading. Do you think men stop and think about what they wear? Far too often they just throw on their three-piece suits or their office attire and they head out. But us women, we gotta pay a bit more attention because there's a lot of judgment where we are concerned. So when we talk about the objectification of women, we talk about how society fragments it, how it's broken down, and how we have given it space in our life so that it consumes our every thoughts. So, Lotus, I hope I answered that question.
All I can say, all I can say is come on in, and get in where you fit in, because I've got Dr. Sabeeta Singh here tonight. And if you are just joining us, we are talking about feeling violated without being touched. If that is you, if you have experienced it or know someone that experienced it, put a number 2 in the comment below. Instead of a 1, I said a number 2 because I want you to know that you are not alone. And we just talked about addressing the feminist perspective on objectification. And I like the way you really nailed what objectification is: seeing or treating a person as an object. And we know that men can be objectified as well, but it is pervasive that oftentimes it is women that are objectified globally. And so the next question that I had for you, and we talked about this topic, folks, before we ever brought it to the air, because we know that this is a difficult topic, and we also know that a lot of people don't want to talk about this. And one reason people don't want to talk about it is because they're ashamed. They're ashamed because society tells them that they should be ashamed if they're violated. Instead of looking at the violator and calling them to the carpet, we call the one who has been violated to the carpet. And oftentimes, even in a job setting, that person will lose their job before the person who has violated them is out the door. And there are
Absolutely.
statistics that prove this. There's a statistic that I saw, and I'm going to bring it up on the screen here for all of you. And this is why I say note takers are money makers. So go ahead and get your notepad and get your pen, because I'm going to be giving you some statistics that you might need to write down. You really might need to write this down, because it might open your eyes to some things that you may not be totally aware of. So, with that being said, I want to make sure I give credit to where credit is due. This is an article, and I'm going to uh, do a couple of quick things so you guys can see this article instead of it being on a split screen for you. Um, this is an article that I read, and this is the credit that we're giving. The article that I read
Hey, Lotus,
from
can you make it a bit
NPR.
bigger?
Say again.
Can you make it a bit bigger, the image?
Yes, let me see if I can make the image a bit bigger. Hold on one second. Let's see if it will allow me to. Give me 1 second, folks.
If not, that's fine. We can talk around
Okay.
it.
All right. So I was trying to get it larger, but I've got this article from NPR.org. Okay. And if you follow NPR, I've been following NPR News for many, many years. And this has uh, clear and concise. More than 3 out of 4 women have been verbally, sexually harassed, 77%. Men have too. So we're not leaving you guys out, but at a 34%, which is staggering, less than women. They have had unwelcome sexual touching. They have had cyber sexual harassment where they've not been touched. Okay. And in our book, you're going to learn about a cyber sexual harassment that went on, but we're not going to share it with you right now. You'll have to get the book. Being physically followed, unwanted genital flashing, which is being violated and the person haven't even touched you, and sexual assault of some shape or form. And here are the numbers. Women, unwelcome sexual touching, 51%, cyber sexual harassment, 41%, and physically followed, 34%, and 30% unwanted genital flashing, and 27% sexual assault. Now, this article, if I'm not mistaken, this came out in 2017. So let's speed up to today. The numbers, I can only imagine, are even more dire than what we've seen today. But here's the question: who's doing something about it? Who's being violated? And who is being told, you know what? I'm going to help you. I'm going to support you. Who are you supporting when someone comes to you and say they've been violated? And if you like statistics, there it is right on your side. There's a link. Go right there to that survey. It came from NPR, the two-way. Okay. The two-way. You can go right there. It says a new survey finds that 81% of women have experienced sexual harassment. And as you know, I read some of those, they weren't touched. They were flashed, they were cyber stalked, or what have you. They were not touched. So I wanted to kind of go back and I wanted to delve into this because you and I know why we've collaborated on this book.
There's a secret sauce.
But what made you really step up and say something? Because you do a lot around the planet. You're on a lot of high level boards for many corporations. And sometimes when we break the silence, people kind of move away from us. So, what gave you the strength and courage to step forward and say, you know what, this is a topic we need to talk about, Lotus?
Yes. So, Lotus, I started the show by introducing myself as having been in a position of privilege. And I said, with privilege comes power, and with power comes responsibility.
Yes.
I feel that it is my responsibility to make it more open, to address the elephant in the room, to
Yes.
talk about the taboo subjects. I think I'm confident in my own skin. I have demonstrated competence across the globe. People know who I am when I speak about it, and I speak from a place of integrity. And as such, I think it is so important to bring out these things. I'm not ashamed because of what happened to me. As a matter of fact, you were one of the first people I reached out and say, "Hey, Lotus, you will not believe the audacity of,"
Yep.
and I'm sure you were surprised that that person would
Yes.
actually approach
Yes.
me,
Yes.
knowing that I have so many connections,
Yep.
that I am not the type to just sit and stay quiet. So I was really surprised, and I'm thinking, what about the women who do not speak up? What about all the other women who've been victim? What about the women who give in? What about the women who did not even recognize that they were being violated? And that is why I decided to step up.
Wow. This could be someone in your family. This could be someone you know. This could be you. And we've got several viewers coming on. And what we like you to do is go ahead and tag somebody right now. I double dog dare you to tag somebody, bring them in, call them into this broadcast because it's just only starting to get sizzling hot. So let's talk about navigating intersectional invisibility.
Exactly. Lotus, can you pull back up that chart you just shared? Is that close
Of
by? Can
course.
you?
Of course. Let me add that. You mean the data that I shared a moment ago?
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
sure. I'll be happy to do that. Give
And
me
the
one moment.
reason why
Mhm.
I want the audience to look at it as we talk about what is navigating intersectional invisibility. I can't see the chart.
And I'm going right back to the chart and I'm right on their page, folks. And this is, I'm scrolling down, and this was from 2017. Here goes.
Okay, there we go. This is good data. So I always say data is statistics. It's like a
Yes.
woman's bikini. It shows a lot, but it conceals what is vital.
Yes.
So, what is missing from this data? What does this data does not tell me? This data acknowledges there are violations without being touched. What the data doesn't tell me is about intersectional invisibility, where women are made to feel physically visible. People see me, they say,
Yes.
hey, we got to have equal employment. We got to promote more women. Let's put some more women on the head count. Let's elevate them into leadership. Let's bring female visible leadership across our boards because that
Yes.
is what society is asking for. That is what we are being judged on by having women at the table because of diversity. But
Yes.
guess what? A lot of these women are made to feel physically visible because we're head counts, but we are not cognitively visible. We are cognitively invisible. True story. I knew a black woman who was very competent for a promotion, and she would have been the best choice for the job. But guess what? She was nowhere near the radar for that promotion. Was it because she's black? Was it because she's a woman? Or was it because, guess what? She's a combination of being woman and being black. Your guess is as good as mine. But she's not the only woman that has undergone that experience. When this happens, many female executives have to adapt to their invisibility. You now
Yes.
become a chameleon to your circumstances. Now, I have seen three different approaches to this in my career. I've been around the block a long
Yep.
time, so I've seen a lot. Okay? Women adopt coping strategies based on where they are in their careers.
Yes.
If you're fresh out and you're early in your career and you have to deal with intersectional invisibility, your early career adoption strategy would be to develop greater self-awareness. And you need to recognize when you are visible and when you are not visible. You need
Exactly.
to know when it happens. So you need to build your self awareness in your early career. If you're mid career, I would recommend taking on risky assignments. I have
Yes.
taken on far too many risky assignments because I needed to prove my competence. I
Mm-hmm.
was probably smarter than a lot of other people at the
Yep.
table, but I needed to work harder. I needed to showcase my talent. So I took on risky assignments. When I did that, I became more visible. People saw me.
Mm-hmm.
I was no longer insignificant.
Right.
And if you're in senior leadership, which is where I am in my career, it is so important to make your position meaningful, create impacts on the organization, support women or junior employees who are invisible, make them visible. We talk about equal opportunity. We talk about, exposure to creating a diverse workplace. Let it not be words, but let it be actions. When I
Exactly.
think about, intersectional invisibility, I talk about professional presence. When I have team meetings, with my teams, I talk about professional presence and I like to create definitions so people know what we're talking about, where there are no room for assumptions and we are both speaking the same language. I define professional presence as letting the most powerful version of yourself shine through. So,
Awesome.
your professional presence is when you let your most powerful version of who you are shine through. And
Awesome.
your presence is now a combination of so many factors. Your presence in the professional capacity can be what we call gravitas, where you showcase your confidence, you showcase your credibility, and you demonstrate poise. Or it's how you communicate. Your professional presence can be construed by how you communicate. What are
Right.
your speaking and inference skills? Do you shut down others? Do you talk over people? Do you give respect? Okay. And then thirdly, it's about your appearance. It's not as much about how we look, but it's about how we present ourselves. Your body language is so important to your professional presence. So when you think about intersectional invisibility and you need to make your presence known, please try and think about those things I mentioned.
So, today is the day of the Black woman. And I posted something to my page earlier where I talked about Black women not getting paid as much as their counterparts. And I'm going to visit that a little bit later. But before we visit that, I'm going to go to our next question. We're going to take a quick break and then we're going to come back and we're going right to you, our audience, because we want to say hello. We want to know where you're coming in from. So if you haven't tagged anybody, go ahead and tag someone. And if you have tagged somebody, I saw one of our guests already put the name of the person that they tagged in. So, question number three, and I want each and every one of you in the listening audience to answer this question. Answer this in the comment. Things men don't realize they are doing that violate women without touching them. I want you guys to look at that because here's the thing, it happens. Women, we also violate. It happens. So the question becomes, are we paying attention to that? Are we paying attention? Here's an article right here that I want to share with you all. This article is an article that came from here. Let me go back in. Let me go back up because I have this mentioned and I want you guys to see this. This came from the United Nations News. And it says hundreds of millions of women living lives governed by others, UN report. And it shows here in this article, I want you to see it, the fact that nearly half of women still cannot make their own decisions about whether or not to have sex, use contraception, or seek health care should outrage us all, according to Natalie Kanem. UNFPA. She's the executive director. And she said this in a news release announcing the findings that many women still today in various countries, we're stripped of our rights. And so you don't have to touch us to hurt us. And it says right here, almost half of women in some 57 countries do not have the power to make choices over their health care, contraception, sex lives, or what have you. And this was launched on Wednesday. So, April 14th, 2021. It's only a few months ago. So the question becomes, what are we doing to make a change? But here is an even greater question. What are we doing to be a
The
part of the change that we say we want to see on the planet? Here's the question for you viewers. How are you? How are you being a part of the change that you say you want to see? Put it in the comment block below. And we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to get right back into this powerful, powerful conversation. We'll be right back.
I had the opportunity to work with Lotus Riche and her team to create a promo video for my business. And let me tell you, she and her team are pretty darn outstanding. I had recorded a video that we were going to use in the promo. And during our meeting, they actually walked me through what worked in the video, and they provided suggestions for improving the video so that I can actually capture the audience and the clients that I want and the people that need my services. They actually told me what I could add to the video and how to set the entire thing up so that when people watch that promo, they will come away knowing who I am, what I do, and why they should contact me. So if you have the chance to work with Lotus Riche and her team, you are not going to be disappointed.
You ready? You got me running, you got me running, got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Raise your hands up, raise them up.
Welcome to the show. All right, and we are back with the wonderful Dr. Sabeeta Singh. She is joining us all the way from Texas. She is a world-renowned speaker. She is a author. She is a global diversity ambassador, humanitarian, philanthropist, and a champion of change. And she's here with us today. And so, Dr. Sabeeta, we have had a wonderfully powerful conversation right now. We've given some great value to our guests, and guess what? Our viewers are giving great value to us. So again, we want to say hello to Angela Elting from Washington, D.C. We're happy to have you here, as well as Phyllis Weaver from Virginia. And of course, they were giving you some loves and hugs. And we have Miss Yvonne McDonald. She is here. And, you know, you are about to have a procedure tomorrow. You braved the traffic and you came all this way, and still, instead of being on the hot seat, you are on the bed, but the mattress will still get hot. So Angela said, awesome commitment. And the poet with the mostest, Jemija Jubilee, says, wow, this started in my family from birth, a part of being in the matrix and programming. Wow. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, I wanted people to put that too in there to let you know that you are not alone. So thank you, Miss Yvonne McDonald, for sharing that. And Miss Jemija Jubilee says, I was told using biblical scripture that a woman's hair is her glory. And when I got my hair cut, I had hell to pay in my family. So who else do we have, Dr. Sabeeta?
We got Tina Azal, and she's saying good evening. Tina, where are you coming in from?
All right. Who else do we have, Dr. Sabeeta?
Oh my God, Mr. Unstoppable yourself. Terrence, what are your thoughts on our topic?
Yes, yes. And he says, hey, it's an unstoppable day. Good to see you ladies tackling this difficult topic. Very relevant in the news today. And yes, it is. And thank you. From a male's perspective, we like you to weigh in on this conversation. So please put your comment in the comment bar. We'd like to bring your comment up to the screen. And so Angela says, have to break the silence. Yes, we do. And what does Jemima say, Sabeeta?
She got genitalia flashing from her first year in college in the Greyhound bus station and on her way back to her hometown. She was only 18 years old.
Wow. Wow. And
That
Angela says it
is.
takes courage to find your voice. And I can only imagine as an 18-year-old young lady, if I wonder rather if you voiced that, did you voice that at that time, or did it take some time before you really voiced it and felt, look, you cannot violate me? So Yamija, we'd love for you to share that because that's really important. And Yamija's tagging people. She said she's tagged Sheila Rob Richardson. So great. And who else has tagged someone, Dr. Sabeeta?
Tina is tagging Melissa Jane and Janet Blackmon. Lotus, I want to go back to what Angela said about finding that voice. One of the things I want to encourage the women who are listening to our show today to do is not judge other women when they speak up. Far too often, women are scared to speak up because they think they may be put into a bucket and cast aside. We need to show empathy.
Yes.
You don't know what it's like walking in their shoes, but being in air is important. So finding your voice is important. Listening to the echoes that's in the silence is also important.
Exactly. And like Mr. Terrence said, seen but not heard. So we have to now be heard and not just seen. We have to be heard and not just seen. And Yamaja says, I love the word intersectional. Intersectional. That is so powerful, sister. I love it. And who else do we have?
We got Selena, and she's talking about unlocking, unveiling, and unleashing our authentic voice. So spot on, Selena.
Yes. And Miss Tina says we have to stand up for my friends and my friends as well, and friends as well. So she also said, I can remember something as way back as middle school when a male teacher asked a friend to stay back while the class moved on. She asked me to stay with her, and I did. I can't imagine what could have happened. Of course, the teacher didn't like it that I was accompanying her. Wow. And what does Dr. Selena Pinashimo have to say?
Transition into the clarity of our worth, value, and inner gifts. And I think that's where our confidence comes in, right?
Awesome.
Understanding who we are, Tina. And thank you for coming in from Fort Lauderdale.
Yes.
So Phyllis is raising a really good point here. She has spoken up. And people accuse her of lying. So, Phyllis, one of the things I will say to you is there's nothing like the documented word. Try to get any advances made towards you in writing.
Yes.
You would be surprised that people who are unaware of what they're doing will be foolish enough to put it in writing.
Exactly. I love that. So we're going to get right back in to our next question of the night. And for those of you that's just joining us, I have the honor and the pleasure to have my friend, Dr. Sabeeta Singh, here all the way from Texas. And we are talking about feeling violated without being touched. And look, we're almost at the top of the hour. I can't believe it. So
and we got so much more. Oh my God, girl.
So I want to ask, what is professional presence?
So professional presence, and I think we talked a little bit about that a bit earlier, is when you stand up and you speak your voice. And I think once you could command who you are and assert yourself from how you look, the way you behave, the way you conduct yourself, that ability to set your position
Mhm.
demands authority. So, I have seen, and I call it the giddy head syndrome.
Mhm.
I have seen where comments are made, and people just laugh it off because it's sensitive, and they don't want to appear offensive or rude, and they laugh it off and shrug it off. But my approach to this is address it, recognize it, and say no. Stamp it out. That way, you bring awareness to what's going on. Before we went to the break, Lotus, you asked a really important question. And I know Mr. Unstoppable is here. So I would love for him to chime in. You talked about, what are those things that men do that they don't even realize they're doing? And it's violating us women. I want to just bring a few of those things to the table. Far too often, men will say something like, "Hey, good work. I did not expect a girl to be so good at this." Have you heard that before, Lotus? I can't hear you.
Yes, in fact, I was passed over for a position when I worked for the state. I had completed the test, went to the interview for my next level to be a lieutenant, and I was told by my captain that I was selected. I was going to be pinned and graduate to the lieutenant's position. And then he came back and said they were going to promote this other person because they needed another man down there in the dorms. Well, guess what? This man was in the dorm one night. I had to go down and restore order because he was not able to, because of the rapport and the respect that I demanded from the inmates. And so that didn't devastate me because I had applied for another position at the same time. And miraculously, I got both of them at the same time. Or so I thought, because they turned around and didn't give me the lieutenant spot. But God opened another door and another window because I was making sure I was taking care of myself. And I got a supervisor's position, which made more than the lieutenant. It was a much better position. But here's the thing, I was denied a lieutenant spot for a position that I was well equipped for. I had more education. I was prior military, and I had proven myself. I had graduated top of my class. And here's the thing, I was violated. My rights were violated because I was told I had the job. I was told that I wiped it up when I went into the interview. I blew them out the water. But here's the thing, when you don't know what you don't know, it can hurt you.
Oh,
And
exactly.
I saw Angela, she said documentation and proof. You have to have documentation and proof. And that is something that you shared. And we see a comment from Dorothy Mae Ross. She said, I had a few of the guys I work with try to intimidate me by standing and talking loud. It did not work. I always stood toe to toe. And that's a thing that I have experienced as well. I've had to stand toe to toe with people, but here's what I know, I outworked them, I outperformed them. But here's something, go to my Facebook page, folks, go to my Facebook page. And today I posted something on my Facebook page that talks about, today is August 3rd, where we spotlight the fact that women of color specifically, okay, and this is not to say we're taking this from all women, we're not, but I'm going down this road right now. Women of color, and I'm going to take you guys to my page. I'm just going to take you to my page because I want you to see it. Women of color have in so many ways been disenfranchised, been walked over, been stepped on. Okay. And it's time to pay Black women their worth. This is an article that I put up today. Let me get that out of there. Because our wonderful actress, she is one of the top actresses on the planet, Miss Viola Davis. She shared some staggering concepts with us. She's a world renowned actress, and she still has to play second fiddle to white women and to white men. Did you know that globally, this is knowledge, that the spotlight today, I'm going to read it right here. Spotlight the additional 214 days Black women must work to catch up with the earnings of white, non-Hispanic men earned last year. What they earned, we're still playing catch up. What a travesty that Black women have to work 579 days to make what white men do in 360 days. And you know why I brought that up? Because I said I had to work harder. But I worked hard. I paid my dues. I I I I crashed and I crushed the interview. I did better than anybody. And they still said, you got it. But because we need another male, we need a male, we're going to give it to him. So I double dog dare you to go to my page, look at what I wrote, look at the statistical data, look at the links, and then listen to this from Viola Davis. Because guess what? Even at her level as an actress, she is still being violated without being touched.
So thank you for sharing that, Lotus. And I think that's really important to recognize when you're violated. And I think now more and more companies are working, and I touch now on the organizational perspective.
Mhm.
One of the things you can do as an organization is add transparency and have a commitment organizational wide to the equity when it comes to paycheck, because we talked about earning capacity. So, transparency and organizational commitment is important. You need the board of directors to buy in, you need your leadership team, you need visible leadership to buy in. So, transparency, organizational commitment towards equity at the paycheck level is important. Secondly, as an organization, to stamp out your unfortunate experience and not just yours, all the other women that have experienced it, we need to reaffirm that everyone will have an equal opportunity to be recognized. It is so important. And many times in the workplace, you will hear your male counterparts using a term, and we talk about what are they doing, and then you know it, it's not obvious when they use the term man up. What does that mean? What does the term man up mean? So when we talk about that equal opportunity to be recognized, we have to look at abandoning some of the jargon that we've gotten accustomed to using in the workplace. Because when you say man up, you're making it appear as the women are weak. We got to be
Exactly.
careful of the words we choose when we're in an organizational setting. And it starts with a culture of inclusion at the organizational
Right.
level.
Right.
Another thing the organization can do is continuous workplace training on ethical boundaries. Remember, a workplace is made up of many different moving parts. It's a complex organism where you have people of multiple backgrounds coming together towards working in a common setting. But everybody's background, their morals and their ethics may be very different. What is okay in your family may not be okay in mine.
Exactly.
Boundaries that are allowed in your family may not be allowed in mine. So we need to be mindful about what the workplace culture and boundaries should be. An organization needs to focus on the Dove model. When we talk about the Dove model, we talk about what is the desire to change. What are the opportunities you're creating? What are the value system you want within your culture model? And how are you educating your staff towards the change you want? So it is so important to focus on all of these facets. I work in an organization where we have the Workplace Harassment Act posted on every wall. We are not hiding from it. We are saying, hey, this is how workplace harassment happens.
Mhm.
You can be violated without being touched. Speak up, speak out. It
Yes.
is not okay to stay silent.
I love it. I love it. And so I wanted to um move back to something you said, because I think this is really important. We must have equity when it comes to paychecks. A lot of times women are paid grossly less than what men are paid, and we are doing the same job, and in many cases a better job. But because the good old boy system still works, and let's face it, our black or melanated brothers, they are part of a fragment of that good old boy system,
The
because
Boys
they
Club.
go into the system and they make more money too. But the problem is they don't say anything about it. They don't ask the question, because now they're making the money, so it's not important. And sometimes they feel like, well, she don't need to be doing this job anyway, because this is a male dominated space. Oh, you got to man up, put your big girl panties on. Those are the things that we hear. But yet they go home to their significant others or their wives or whomever, and they never once think that that could be your mother, that could be your daughter, that could be your spouse, that could be your sister, in the same place where that woman is on the same job with you, getting less pay and doing more work, and sometimes doing it better than you are.
Absolutely.
Yet
And
he's got
thank
to
you for
fight.
calling that
And,
out.
and let's not even talk about our Caucasian counterpart, the females. Let's not even talk about them. Let's take them off the table for now. Let's talk about women of color. I've showed you the numbers. They're staggering. And this continues to happen. So we need our brother counterparts to stand up and say something. We need our sisters to stand up and say something. We need our co-workers who may not look like us, who may not be from the same place we are. When you see the inequality, stand up and say something. Because a lot of times when people stand up and say something about the inequality that they're facing, they typically are standing alone. They typically are the ones that lose their jobs, not rightfully so, because the system is flawed, the system is unbalanced, it's toxic, and nothing but negativity, nothing but inequality is festering in many of these companies. And so we have to work together globally, because this isn't just happening in the United States, it's happening worldwide, to change this paradigm. Because a lot of these things have actually been grandfathered. Period. And so Tina says, wow, you made more than the lieutenant. God had other plans. Yes, I did make
Amen.
more than the lieutenant. Had a better job, came out of that uniform. And I mean, I really did some amazing things. So thank you, Tina. And so, Dr. Sabeeta, let's go ahead and read what Dorothy Mae Ross is saying. And then we're going to take a quick break, folks. And then we're going to come back for our final words of wisdom for this evening. Dr. Sabeeta?
So, Dorothy, you had that happen to you and the job was given to someone you train. It hurt, but it was okay. I was glad I didn't get the job later in my career. You got something better. So you trusted your journey. You trusted the path. It may have been that you were cheated out of an opportunity, but you trusted the path. So good on you, Dorothy, and thank you for acknowledging that.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And many of you are sharing, and some of the things that are popping up, and some of them I can't see because people are pushing some stuff in. But Harriet Rogers Christian, hi, happy to have you here. She says yes. And so Harriet, Dorothy, everybody that's coming in, we double dog dare you to share this, share this, share this, share this, because this is about awareness. This isn't about putting anybody down or anything like that. This is about awareness. Angela says federal agencies have diversity, equality, and inclusion groups to bring awareness of these issues. And then Dorothy said that a job I was asked to take went from 60,000 for a guy I trained 3 years earlier to 30,000 when offered to me.
And can I just add something? Many times, a lot of employers see women as being the secondary income, not the primary income.
Exactly.
And that is one of the biggest contributors to the wage gap difference.
Exactly. And there are a lot of single mothers out there. There are a lot of women who are partnered with men, and the men, they may or may not be the breadwinner. Okay. But what happens when he dies? Or what happens when he gets sick?
Or when he decides to up and leave.
Or when he decides to up and leave? Then she's stuck because she's been taught systematically by society that she should depend on this person that she's married to. And I know some of our viewers, one in particular, who dealt with this, but she was able to recreate herself. Okay. And so I'm gonna go right here to this comment. And folks, we're getting ready to go to a break. But man, it's getting juicy. So we're gonna have to bring you back, Dr. Sabeeta, because Dorothy says, a job I wanted was never given to me, but I was good enough to train the guy who did get the jobs. So I stopped asking for the promotions. I was the only woman in the company in Illinois for over 20 years in management.
Can I just add to this? And
Yes.
I know we're going to come back, and we have so many other things to bring. Like, how do we address the coping skills? How do you deal with it? How do you address it from a professional standpoint? How do you lean in? How do you speak up? How do you claim your space at the table? And you sit there and you don't move. You take that space because you own it. One of the things that is really, really, really important, and I talk about it and I call it in the book, and one of the chapters is do not leave before you actually leave. There
Right.
was a particular instance where a young female, mid-career professional, she was about to get married, and her supervisor asked her, will you be starting your family? Should I be having a succession planning in place? Should I start training someone up? Because it is the assumption that if you start your family, you're gonna leave. And mentally she kind of laid back and said, okay, maybe, I need to start stepping back and letting someone else in. So what she did is she actually left the room before she left the room.
Right.
Right? You don't do that. You don't leave the room before you actually leave the room. You stay committed, you show your competence. I worked up until the 99th hour of my pregnancy. I drove myself to the hospital for my delivery. I pushed the buttons because it's a pregnancy. Unless something is really wrong with you, you don't have to leave until you really need to leave.
Yep. That's awesome. Don't leave until you need to leave. Okay. So don't leave until you really need to leave.
Yep. And another way it can manifest itself, Lotus, is, for example, if you're having a hard time at work and your boss is victimizing you mentally, you start stepping away. You start your quality of your work is compromised because it's mentally affecting you. And this is a reflection of you. So I always tell my staff, show me your work. Your quality of your work is a reflection of you. So when your boss gets into your head, or your supervisor or your co-worker intimidates you, so much so that the quality of your work is impacted and it drops, you are leaving before you actually leave. You're opening the door for them and saying, hey, kick me out.
Yep. And so here's the thing. I've been there. I've played all the cards. I've played all the games. I know how it goes. But don't leave until you need to leave. Don't leave without a plan. Don't leave without a plan that you're already executing. That you're already executing. So go from the something that you have to the something that you're creating. Ergo, start your own business. Do something that if your company closes on you today or tomorrow, you're already making a living somewhere else. The top billionaires on the planet will say to you that you need, count them, at least 8 streams of income or more. So while you work in this job for someone else, you need to have something, a company that you can call your own. Even if you're an affiliate for a company, you need to have your own business that has your name on it. Because here's the thing, if you can go like I did, and I worked for Kodak, University of Phoenix, QTS, all these high profile companies. I worked for some low profile companies, which really kind of are high, Wendy's, stuff like that. I did the Moonlight and I did all that. If you can go and work 40 hours, 80 hours, 90 hours, 100 hours a week, and I've done all of the ones that I just shared, you can do it for yourself. Find your niche. Find what works for you as a woman. Share this with your daughters. Share this with your significant others. Share this with your sons. Share this with your brothers and your fathers. Because until people start speaking about it and taking action, nothing is going to change quickly. So with that being said, I invite you to support my broadcast. You can look down below. You can support the broadcast at lotusriche@yahoo.com for Zelle, PayPal me at Lotus Riche Ignites Cash. And you can also support me via Cash App, because that helps me to bring phenomenal guests just like Dr. Sabeeta Singh here to share information with you. So I challenge you, reach out to Dr. Sabeeta Singh. You can reach her on Facebook. She's there. She'll be happy to connect with you. If you need coaching or training or anything above, go ahead and reach out to her. Why? Because you never know what you don't know until you know what you don't know. And sometimes someone like myself or Dr. Sabeeta Singh will be the person to help you realize what you don't know. And this is her Facebook page, and I'm going to copy her link for you. Okay. This is how you do it. You go right to her page and check her out. You will be pleased that you did. And so with that being said, I'm going to put on the other side where you can click on it. Go ahead and reach out to her. Bring her to your show. If you have a show, bring her, put her in your magazines, put her in your newspapers. If you write about powerful women, this woman right here is a powerful woman, that woman that you want to talk to, talk with, and talk about. And so I see Angie, she said, keep that control. She said, keep that negativity out. Dr. Dr. Selena Pinashimo, she said, yes, Lotus, take action. And Dorothy Mae Ross said, I got smart and stayed and used the resources of the company to start my own company. That company caused me to retire with a divine income. I would buy homes, rehab, and sell, put the money away for an early retirement. And see, because Dorothy Ross did it, because Dr. Sabeeta is doing it, because I'm doing it, Angie's doing it, and many of you that are out there are doing it. For those of you that's listening and you haven't taken action yet, you can do it too. And know this, above all, know this. You are not alone. No matter what someone tries to make you think, you are not alone. And so I invite you to continue to connect with me every Monday and every Tuesday, every Wednesday, and every Friday. Please make sure you connect with Dr. Sabeeta Singh. You will be happy you did. Bernardo Garcia, hola, my brother. He says, take action, stop the procrastination. That's what I'm talking about. And Miss Tina said, awesome, Dorothy. And so, with no further ado, we're going to take a quick break and we're coming right back to you with our final words of wisdom for the show tonight. We'll be right back. Thank you for watching the show, and be sure to follow us on Instagram, like and share, and let us know that you care. Also, let us know what other type of shows you'd like us to present just for you. Thank you.
You ready? You got me running, got me running. Shake it, shake it, shake it, baby. Raise your hands up. Raise them up.
Hello, hello, hello. I just had to jump on here and say a big thank you to Dr. Lotus for taking time out to invite me on her show. And let me tell you something. She said it very clear. Ignite and take flight in every part of your life. Thank you, Dr. Lotus. I appreciate all that you have done. And hey, if you want to get noticed, you got to get with Dr. Lotus. Stay blessed, stay safe, and stay absolutely fabulous. Ciao.
Communication, and thanks to who? This lady right here, Dr. Sabeeta Singh. That's right, that's right. Okay, so Doc, I want to thank you again for coming on the show tonight. You came, you saw, you rocked the mic as I knew that you would on this topic, feeling violated without being touched. And so, folks, if you love the show, please make sure you share it. Don't hesitate to go ahead and support the broadcast down below. And if you want to come on a roundtable with myself and Dr. Sabeeta Singh as we tackle feeling violated without being touched, part 2, make sure you DM me and we will have you on the show later in the month for the roundtable, feeling violated without being touched, part 2. So with no further ado, Dr. Sabeeta Singh, we appreciate you. We're happy that you're here, and we want to go straight to you for your final words of wisdom. The floor is yours.
Before I close off, I just want to reach out to you, Lotus, and express my sincere appreciation for all that you're doing in the spaces you're in. Your name, and I've told you this before, it's a holy flower, and it is so indicative of the work you do. You do it unselfishly, you do it from a place of passion, and may God continue to guide and keep you and bless you as you set your course and you chart it, because the sky is the only way you're headed, my friend. You are doing great, great work. You're touching lives one at a time. And I just want God to continue watching over you and your team, and let your broadcast reach the ears of places you never imagined. Stay strong and stay positive. That is intended for you, my friend.
Thank
Because
you.
you're close to my heart, and you know that.
Thank you.
And the
And
tips.
so we want your other words of wisdom. First, thank you. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you for saying that. I'm humbly honored. And so would you have some final words of wisdom to share with our listening audience? And for
I
you,
do.
those that's hitting a replay, you can rewind her as she shared these final words of wisdom. Hear it twice. Dr. Sabeeta.
Here we go. Here's the wrap up. Some quick tips. Remember your value. You are not less than. You are enough. I tell myself that constantly. I am enough. Constantly tell yourself you're not less than. You are enough. Secondly, think of a person that may be intimidating you. Think of that person in a subordinate position. When you think of that person as being lesser than the position they're in, you may find your inner voice. You may get the confidence for you to stand up for yourself and speak out. So don't let the big bear intimidate you. See them in a lower position and speak out. Learn to be assertive. It is very important that when you speak, you assert yourself. When you take a position, do not back down. If you don't stand for something, you believe in nothing. So it's important to be assertive and not back down. If you find yourself in an uncomfortable position where you are being violated, always ensure that your safety is never compromised. Have an exit plan. Do not just rush into the situation. Think through it. See the end game. When you are speaking, adjust your tone. Look at your body language. It's all well and good for us to be saying one thing, but our body language is reflecting something else. So your body language must match your tone. When you're feeling violated, you must, and that's part of your assertion. Body language and tone must not be in conflict. And finally, when you speak, do it firmly and to the point. It doesn't have to be long and wind it out. Speak to the situation. Speak to it in as few words as possible and be very firm. Recognize the intimidation for what it is and ensure that you are addressing the intimidation. Those are just some of the tips I have for you. Like Dr. Lotus Riche said, we'd love to have you on a round table. We have just started this discussion. There are so many other parts this conversation can go in, and we'd love to have you all on the round table. And when the book comes out, it will be something that equips us to find our inner voice. Thank you.
Awesome. Fantastic. Whoop, whoop. Y'all give it up. Come on, give me some virtual hand claps for our guest, Dr. Sabeeta Singh. And so, look, folks, we love you. We appreciate you. And we thank you for joining us tonight. Doc, you came, you rocked, you saw, you did your thing. And so my final words of wisdom to all of you is listen to what she said, because what she said is right on point. We have to say what we need to say with few words. More is less. Have an exit plan and keep your body, language, and tone together. Don't let someone pull you out of who you really know that you are, and never compromise your safety. If you don't feel safe, don't get yourself backed into that corner. Always stand up for yourself. And at the end of the day, no matter what, you know you've got to find your voice. And remember, you have value. And so to all of our viewers that have joined us tonight, and those that are going to hit the replay, and those that are going to come back and see this again, we thank you, we love you, and we appreciate you. And we ask that you support this broadcast because it helps me to help ignite and take flight in not only my life, but other people's lives, so they can ignite and take flight in every area of their life. And so until we see you again, be blessed, don't stress, and don't you dare stand for no mess. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
You ready? You got me running. You got me running. Got me running.
Remember that you have value. Thank you, Dr. Sabeeta Singh, for coming and sharing your light and love with the world here at Lotus Ignite Show. And make sure you join us for the roundtable coming up. Looks like we're going to have Dr. Dorothy May Ross joining us for the roundtable. And you can too, as we discuss feeling violated without being touched. Take care. for watching the show. And remember, always follow us on Facebook. Like and share, and make sure you tag a friend and let them know that you care. Let us know what other type of shows you